Hi, Angie. I'm Suzanne Perkins. I'm
Hi,
one of
Suzanne.
the co-chairs from Start School Later, the Ann Arbor chapter.
So
Nice,
good to talk to you this evening.
yeah, nice to talk to you. So we had some questions about later school start time. Um, the first is that the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Medical Association, and the Centers for Disease Control, and the National Sleep Association all identify early school start times as the crucial contributor to adolescent sleep deprivation. And so most organizations recommend that middle and high school start times be after 8:30. And do you believe school districts should be responsive to these National Health Organization recommendations?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's something that we need to be responsive to. I did a little research in order to prepare for our conversation, and I looked up the American Academy of Sleep Medicine statement on this. And I'll just kind of summarize what they said. As teens, biology changes our body rhythms and causes people to stay up late and sleep late during that time. And that means the school start time is a big deal. That's really one of the main contributors to, getting kids up in the morning. They got to get up for school. My oldest daughter, who's 21 now, she was on the swim team. And if you know anything about high school swim teams, you know that they're doing practices not only after school, but before school. So some of those kids were practicing at 5:30 in the morning. And in order to get there on time, you can start doing the math of what time they have to get up and what time they're eating breakfast, sometimes practice after school as well. And then homework, maybe a part-time job, and staying up late to talk to friends or watch TV. Yeah, sleep is missing out in that scenario. But we know well the impact of this, and it's well understood: academic performance, health, and safety of the teenagers. It's understood, but it's not really well appreciated. And I think the idea of starting at 8:30 is what they are recommending. And I'm proud to let you know, maybe you already do know, that that is the current start time for kids in the Ann Arbor Public School District. Right now, when we're in virtual learning, the high schoolers are starting at 8:30 and middle schoolers at 8:20.
Okay, I think you somewhat answered my next question, but I'll ask it anyway. In what ways do you think later secondary school start times would benefit adolescents?
Yeah, we can talk about those in impacts on health and achievement and safety. Achievement, we know it impacts cognitive ability when we're tired. We probably know that even about ourselves. I'm feeling a little sleepy today and stumbling over a couple of words, but that does relate to the amount of sleep that we're getting. When you think of safety, we've got teen drivers who are tired and getting behind the wheel, or relying on caffeine and other substances in order to keep them awake when they need to be awake. That's another risk. And even our health, when we talk about our immune system and think about how hard it's working during these days of the pandemic, our mood, anxiety, all of these are impacted by sleep.
Okay, thanks. Um, so as you said, currently under COVID, we do have these later school start times. Are there any barriers you see to implementing them once we move back to in-person classes?
Sure, there's going to be barriers to that, but I think when we're looking at policy change, we're ripe to explore creative ways to do that. Usually, policy change, the hardest thing is thinking about how are we going to do that? Oh, there's all these things that are going to make it difficult. And as terrible as this pandemic has been in many ways, it has offered this opportunity of we've already had to figure out the how. The how's already happened. So now it's just maintaining. And there are still going to be barriers and conversations. I think the community is going to have some talk and collaboration around thinking of busing and how we're going to organize that. Thinking of after school sports, which has been a big part of the conversation as to why not to adopt this in years past. Thinking about kids who have after school jobs and families that might rely on that income as part of their sustainability.
Okay, thanks. You sort of alluded to this when talking about how early some kids end up in school, but can you talk about safety in terms of, how we sync school travel times with a Michigan winters and their dawn and sunset times. And also if you've done any thinking about the building heating and environmental concerns.
Related to school starts
Yeah,
time
yeah,
specifically?
yeah. So like what would be optimal, times for,
Oh, okay. So from
travel.
so you're talking about from an environmental perspective, how
Mm,
would this also not only be helpful to the kids, making this change would also be beneficial when we're talking about our climate action in order to gain a carbon neutrality. So when we're thinking about heating the buildings in the middle of the night or early in the morning or late into the day, we want our kids to be in school during the sunlight hours where there's already fresh sunlight, a little bit more heat, even in the Michigan winters. That this change, this shift to starting school later once we get back into the building is going to benefit beyond only the students, but also our community and our climate situation.
Okay, thanks. And do you feel that changing high school start times would have any influence on Ann Arbor's leadership role in Michigan public education?
I think Ann Arbor is in a really wonderful spot to be a leader for the rest of the state. We're one of the biggest districts. We've got strong leadership, both with our superintendent and our board. We've got a thoughtful community that's engaged and does the research and stands by things that they believe in. So if we, Ann Arbor, were able to adopt later school start time past COVID, I think other districts would see that as kind of trailblazing and a way that they could also follow suit. I don't know, Suzanne, and maybe you do. Are there other districts in Michigan that do start late, have like 8:30 or later high school start?
Yeah, there are some. I don't know offhand how many.
Small or larger?
There were, I mean, of course, now I don't know what's going on at all, but but there were some larger school systems that did do it,
Right. And
but not the big ones.
got it. And now that we have established this later start in line with the virtual learning, I think, just maintaining it is so much easier than starting from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So that's all the questions that I have for you. Thanks.
Well,
As you
great to
know,
talk to you a little bit about it.
yeah, as you know, we don't endorse any candidates because we're just an advocacy organization, but thank you for talking to us so that we can share that with other people who care about later start.
Yeah, it was great to get a chance to chat with you tonight, and I hope you get a good night's rest.
Thank you. You too. All right.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.